Sasha is a complex character in Amphibia's cast, going from a Regina George type character to becoming a loyal companion to Anne and a leader of the Amphibia Resistance. But getting there was no easy feat. Through Sasha's relentless determination, she was able to turn a new leaf. Although her personality aligns with classic masters of manipulation like Azula and Kuvira, Amphibia paints Sasha in a different light, making her story an inspiration that needs to be told. Let's hop to it then. You get it? Cause frogs, they hop. That was terrible. Let's just move on. In the beginning, Sasha and Marcy are both a mystery. We only know what Anne has told us about them. We think Sasha is this super cool person that helps Anne get her lunch back from a bully just by talking to her. Also, she gets introduced with an awesome guitar solo. One would think that Anne and Sasha are the best of friends. Sasha is the leader, and Anne and Marcy are the yes man that go along with everything. She's convincing and persuasive, which is very dangerous in the company of a people pleaser like Anne. Don't get me wrong, Anne is awesome, but she does have a lot of growth to do, making this friendship imbalanced and quite toxic. Anne doesn't have any boundaries or any courage to put her foot down and say no, so Sasha takes that as an open invitation to steamroll over her friends, getting what she wants when she wants it. To be clear, we can't just point the finger at one individual here and say they should take all the blame. Relationships are a two-way street. Both Anne and Sasha have things they need to sort out in order to get to the root of the problem. Sasha has a dominant personality type, but that shouldn't mean she pushes past her friends' wants and desires as she does, using her charisma more as a weapon, knowing full well if she's charming enough, people will do what she wants, which is exactly what happens when she's teleported to Amphibia. After being captured by the Toads, she uses her persuasiveness to convince Toads like Percy to quit and follow their dreams, making kind of a game out of it, whether to deal with the boredom of sitting in a prison cell all day, or just to frustrate Captain Grunt, voiced by Troy Baker, who is also Joel from The Last of Us.
You have no idea what loss is.
Sasha is intelligent and knows what questions need to be asked to know that the morale at Toad Tower isn't high. When the killer birds attack, she's calm and cool under pressure and attacking the birds like it's no big deal. You get it? Because that's a reference to the Battle of Bands later. We'll get there, okay? Winning over Grime in the process, seeing her as the ideal soldier. Sasha has one thing that Grime does not have, and that is leadership. She knows how to influence others to uplift people's spirits instead of demotivating them like he does. Now at this moment in time, her logic is a little skewed by saying,
get them to love you and they'll do anything for you.
Which is a very toxic way of leading, but it works in this situation, so good job, I guess, helping reunite the Toad army and defeating the birds. Sasha becomes Grime's second in command, which is well deserved. I mean, they totally wouldn't have survived without her. This new sense of power and Grime's praise reinforces her manipulative nature, causing Anne and Sasha's reunion to be a little rocky. Oh, a little rocky, okay. It's more like someone threw a monkey wrench at this relationship. Anne is not the same person she was when she first arrived in Amphibia. She takes responsibility and stands up for her friends. Most importantly, she has a lot more self-confidence. Anne has changed, which is difficult for Sasha to handle, seeing that she can't just say,
"End of discussion,"
and call it a day. Anne is no longer a welcome mat that she can step all over, which makes it difficult for Sasha to understand what her friend's problem is. The only thing that matters to Sasha at this point is Anne and getting home safely. Marcy isn't really mentioned in season 1, so I'm assuming that Marcy is on Sasha's agenda, but honestly I wouldn't put it past her if she forgot about her. Sasha's thing is to use people, then lose people, meaning once an individual is no longer useful, she cuts them loose, taking what she can get from someone and then moving on with her plans and her plans only. This all changes when Anne stands up for her frog friends, causing Sasha to feel conflicted. Anne is her best friend, but she's standing in the way of her one goal, not understanding what is so important about a bunch of frogs. This isn't their home, so why do the planters and the rest of the frog frogs matter. Why get into another world's political problems? Sasha truly wants to help her friend and go home, but Anne isn't having it, causing them to have a full-blown fight, fighting for not only frog rights, but the leadership in their friend group as well. Sasha loses the battle, sporting a new scar on her face, symbolizing her failure to stay in control. Honestly, I feel like this scar could symbolize a lot of different things. If the betrayal isn't enough, Sasha has one more huge decision to make in season 1. As Toad Tower is crumbling all around them, Sasha makes a self-sacrifice for Anne, seeing that if she doesn't let go of her friend's hand, both of them will likely perish. She makes up her mind that Anne is better off with the planters than she ever was with her, finally giving up control and freeing Anne from their toxic relationship. Sasha lets go of her friend's hand and almost falls to her death, until 2 seconds later when Grime jumps in to save her. In the end, things will never be the same between these two girls. After the Battle of Toad Tower, Sasha is more determined than ever to focus on her training, thinking that if she trains, she can power through her feelings towards what happened. But it's also a preventative measure to help protect the one person that she can trust right now, Grime. Even when General Unad, I'm not saying her whole title because that is a mouthful, when General Unad is after Grime, he tells Sasha to leave. If this was Sasha from season 1, she probably would have. But it's not. There's one thing that Sasha values more than anything, that's loyalty. Grime has showcased how loyal he was to her when he saved her life. Now she's repaying it by standing and fighting with him, standing by him at his lowest point, finding that they both have something to fight for. I'm talking about their friendship, not sure if you got that. But with their friendship stronger than ever, Grime and Sasha find a new ambitious scheme of taking over Amphibia. Not only that, but Sasha makes a promise to get revenge on Anne and the Planters for defying her control, because she's still not over the fact that Anne defeated her. Also, Sasha's just really bad with her feelings. To say that Sasha is ambitious is, that's an understatement. Sasha will not rest until her goals are achieved, no matter what happens to anyone else. When Sasha and the rest of her team find the Warhammer, this is exactly what happens. She becomes ruthless and oblivious to others' emotional states, making Braddock and Percy exit her team because she's too intense. She's sad about losing her friends and guilty for pushing them too hard, understanding that sometimes it's better to let people go and live the lives they want to instead of forcing them to do what you want them to do. Some people are just going to want different fulfillment in their lives. Percy and Braddock aren't cut out for this dangerous lifestyle. They'd rather go watch Suspicion Island. This is Sasha's first step of letting go and letting others have the freedom to come to their own conclusions. Sure, it's hard seeing them go, and if they stayed with Sasha, they would have become better soldiers, but they don't want to be pushed to change, and that should be respected. Remember what Grime says.
Every dream has its price, and not everyone's willing to pay it.
That is such a great line. It's a hard truth for sure, but it needs to be said. In order for the girls to go home, they must go through 3 temples to power up 3 different gems. Seems easy enough, right? Well, no, it's not. Each one of these temples works to each girl's strength, but also a weakness. Marcy's temple is all about being smart, but she has to learn to be mindful. Anne's is about being kind-hearted, but also taking responsibility for her mistakes. I meant that is just a small snippet of what these 2 temples represent for these 2 characters. But this video is dedicated to Sasha and Sasha's story only, okay? The 3rd temple is all about strength, which is something that Sasha excels at. When the girls were young, Sasha was always the one standing up to bullies to protect the other 2. Even if she made a complete fool of herself, she didn't care. She just didn't like people picking on the little guys. When it comes to the 3rd temple, her physical strength comes in handy when she protects Anne, Marcy, and the gang from volcano creatures in the 1st room, bench pressing something really heavy in the 2nd, and just like with the other temples, the 3rd is where the real test comes in. In this room, it's not about how physically fit she is. It's more about her mental and emotional toughness, the determination to keep going even when things might be difficult or complicated. After all the stuff that's happened between Anne and Sasha, she feels like a big fat jerk who doesn't deserve Anne's kindness. Even after everything, Anne still believes and cares about her friend, telling Sasha that she's an inspiration that should never give up. That goes a long way, making Sasha go into a rage mode to defeat the rock monster in the coolest way possible. I do have the same question as Sprig though, how heavy was that armor? The third temple is another stepping stone for Sasha to prove that her perseverance can inspire others. Above all, Sasha has made mistakes in her past. She can either let them weigh down on her like the gravitational force in this room, or move past it and become a stronger and more mature person in the end. Sasha should never give up because it will help her grow and move forward to the person she wants to become. Sasha learns a great lesson at the temple, but that doesn't mean that her and Anne's relationship is solved. Far from it. Sasha is still using Anne for her plans of taking over Amphibia and still holds a grudge against the planters for turning Anne against her, especially towards Sprig. She just really dislikes that kid. But that doesn't mean she doesn't want to try reclaiming her best friend's trust in the process. To do that, she must have a civil dinner party with the frogs that she dislikes so much. The thing that makes me laugh about this dinner party episode is that Grime and Sasha are just so different. In season 1, Sasha was the charm and Grime was the brute, and in season 2, it gets flip-flopped. Whether that's from Grime binge watching too much reality TV, or Sasha no longer being in her comfort zone. Sasha sees just how much Marcy and Anne have bonded over their adventures without her, feeling a little left out by all the inside jokes they share. Also, the constant skepticism from Sprig infuriates her to no end. One of Sasha's biggest problems is her insane jealousy, especially when it comes to Anne. She likes Anne, and when people come between her and her friend, she gets enraged. It doesn't help that the planters keep bringing up what happened at Toad Tower, which is a very sensitive topic for Sasha, and she just does not want to talk about it. It's worth pointing out that the key word in any redemption arc is change. One thing that I think people miss is that a redemption does not mean you have to change who you are at your core. Although Sasha can be intense, she doesn't need to change her personality in order to be friends with Anne and Marcy. She can still be true to herself and respectfully change her perspective towards her friends. These two aren't the little helpless kids they were when Sasha met them. They've found themselves and grown to be more mature in Amphibia. Sasha has to respect the boundaries that Anne and Marcy are creating so that they can be true to themselves as well. Just because she learns that lesson, it doesn't mean that she's given up all control. Because when it comes to Sasha, it's her way or the highway. But in order to let Anne be herself, she has to ease up. And in the Battle of the Bands, Sasha still feels the need to control the situation by heart stomping all over Anne in her new song. That brings a conflict between the two once again, and instead of hanging out with her friends, she goes and makes a band with Toadie. But in the process of working with him, she learns how boring it is to have someone follow her around all day and agree with everything she's saying. There's no challenge or progress in having a deeper connection with someone who just doesn't have an opinion, which is what Anne and Marcy were like back home. Sasha loves being in control, and if she doesn't have it, she'll go crazy. But sometimes she forgets that control and success aren't what matters. Sometimes it's just about relaxing and being there for the people you care about. At this point, Sasha is far from perfect, but for her to ease up and help her friends when they need her is a huge accomplishment, and that should be celebrated. Ooh, it is short-lived because it's time for Sasha and Grime to betray her friends again. Great job, Sasha. Just when we thought things were turning around for you, you just go and do that. But hey, I'm not gonna be too mad because there's always missteps in life, and this is a big one for Sasha. Taking the throne of Amphibia for herself and staying there to rule instead of going home because she wants power or something Her motivation is very unclear here. So that's it. Sasha has made her decision to be a bad guy, right? No, of course it can't be that easy. It turns out that King Andreas wants to use the power gems to conquer the Earth. There are so many plot lines in this show, especially in this one episode. My goodness. In order to stop the Mad King from returning to power, Sasha and Grime must fight Anne and the Planters yet again, but this time is for selfless reasons. However, just like the boy who cried wolf, it doesn't go well for them. No one believes them, thinking that once again they're horrible people that need to be stopped at all cost. Not to mention that Anne is really mad and no longer wants to be friends with Sasha, and that hits Sasha hard, like really hard. Finally seeing maybe she is a toxic person who doesn't deserve a second chance. However, when Anne needs her most, Sasha steps in to fight by her side. And once again, she puts Anne and Marcy's needs before hers in order to let them take the portal home. Anne and the Planters do, but Marcy, oh yikes. This show aired on Disney Channel, that's nuts. With Marcy gone and Anne back home, Sasha's Amphibia's last hope, the last protector to save its people from destruction, and Sasha is in a mood.
Well, don't mind me. I'm gonna go sleep in the corner with the rest of the trash.
Definitely at her lowest point, feeling like a horrible person who should never be trusted. She'll always make the same mistakes and run away when things get too complicated. The people of Wartwood are not making her feel better either, because they're just being so nice to her, even after everything that she's done to them. In the past, Sasha would have distracted herself with another ambitious plot, but this time, Sasha's done. Done with scheming, done with using people, but most importantly, done with hurting the people she holds dear. She doesn't want the easy solution of running away. When Wartwood needs her help, she puts her foot down and says enough's enough. Not because she wants something in return, she does it because it's the right thing to do. It's what her friend Anne would have done, to lead the people of Wartwood to stand up to King Andreas. For the next couple of months, that's just what she does, leading the resistance to a brighter future, using people not as pawns in an overarching plot, but understanding how to play to each individual's strengths and inspiring them to be the best person they can be. She deeply cares for the people of Wartwood and will do anything for them. Sasha is great in charge, and the people of Wartwood really respect her leadership. She keeps a level head when things get tough, but when Anne returns, she knows when to give it up, letting Anne become the leader. Even if it's hard to see Anne and her team fail over and over again.
And if I'm not in control at all times, I'll go crazy.
I am with you, Sasha. It is hard to watch. The important thing is that Sasha lets go, understanding that she doesn't have to be in charge all of the time. Unfortunately, that nice sentiment is not helpful because the resistance will not survive without Sasha leading it. And being an understanding person realizes this, letting Sasha do what Sasha does best. And both girls understand their importance and find that both can lead the resistance, still having a balanced relationship that is more like a partnership, equal on both sides. We've talked about Sasha and Anne a lot in this video, but not so much Sasha and Marcy. When it comes to those two, I wouldn't say they're best friends. I feel like they're acquaintances at best, with a mutual friend in Anne. Sasha sees her as a klutz who can't do anything right. To an extent, she's right. Marcy clearly should pay attention more, but that doesn't mean that Sasha dislikes Marcy. Even after it's revealed that Marcy teleported the three of them to Amphibia on purpose, she genuinely wants Marcy to be okay. But she is still pretty angry that Marcy did this on purpose, thinking it's better to be angry than forgive and forget. Sounds a little familiar here, Sasha. You did get your own second chance, so why shouldn't Marcy? To forgive is hard, but it needs to be done not only for a friendship to survive, but for Sasha to mature as an individual. Forgiveness is Sasha's final step in being redeemed, which is achieved in the final battle with Darcy. This fight is not just to get Marcy back, but it's a fight that symbolizes that she isn't a bully or a toxic friend anymore. She's grown past it and is willing to do anything to get her friend back. This is a heavy fight and probably one of my favorites in the series. I'm honestly curious what yours is. Throughout her journey in Amphibia, Sasha has built a friendship with Grime that no one can replace. When Sasha needed a friend to lean on, he was always there for her. Even in this fight, he loses an arm to protect the one person he cares for. That sacrifice and Anne's words ringing in her head,
It's not who we were that matters, Sash. It's who we are now that counts.
help her let go of the guilt of her past mistakes, taking down Darcy and changing her narrative. In the end, Sasha uses what she's learned in Amphibia to help kids overcome their own issues, teaching them that anyone can get a second chance. And that's an awesome thing for Sasha to be able to do. I think that's why Sasha matters so much. How many times have we seen this type of narrative of the overly ambitious kid wanting all the power and manipulating anyone to get it? Two examples that pop into my brain at this moment are Draco Malfoy and Azula. Having a personality type like Sasha's is frowned upon because they're toxic and controlling. Being persuasive is bad, and people with a commanding personality type are evil. Amphibia changes the game, showing the strengths and weaknesses of a character like this. Sasha does do some heinous things throughout her time on screen, but we also see her softer side, how determined, caring, and fiercely loyal she is. Sasha still has the same personality she had in the beginning of the series, but she's learned how to use it to influence others rather than control them. Well, there we go. Honestly, I was not expecting this video to be this long, but thanks for sticking around. I'm sure there are details about Sasha's journey that I missed, so please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. If you like overthinking other shows, check out this playlist right here. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.